What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're doing well today. Got a new integral knife to check out with you guys. Let's jump into it. All right, guys, we are checking out the Tuya Strength Integral Titanium Knife. This one is very interesting to say the least. So kicking it off, we have a hand-rubbed DLC M390 spear point blade. I am going to call it a spear point because that swedge goes long enough out. I know it's not perfectly centered, so if you want to say it's a drop point, I won't argue with you. Again, full titanium, integral handle, titanium or Damascus pocket clip. I'm not 100% sure, and I couldn't find it on the website to say what it really was. Lock bar insert, frame lock knife, and it has, if I can get it to close, it's a little tight in the pivot. I'm not really sure why, or if Lefty had taken this one apart already maybe, but multiple means of deployment. You have thumb studs that are very well done and very nice to deploy. You have a front flipper with very nice jimping on here. Aggressive, but not overly aggressive. It doesn't feel like it wants to saw at me when I do flip it from the front. And then you have a rear flipper. And that one is a little sketch because if you don't get out of the way, the front flipper will run into your finger. So when you pull on that one, you definitely want to kind of follow through and roll down with that flip. All right, let's see here. Lanyard hole, didn't want to miss that, and already covered. Fully integral knife, riding on bearings. Not really sure about the disassembly, so I would probably still steer you over to Kevin's channel to check out if you haven't already. Lefty EDC. I did take this down to the garage to do some cutting with it, and there was something wonky going on with the blade. I'm not sure what potential cutting may have been done with this before I got it. I don't know if maybe the material that was cut with before I got it maybe rolled the edge or something like that, but it just didn't want to go through the catalog paper, and it didn't feel all that great going through the cardboard. And it isn't a super thin blade stock, guys, but it's far from being thick. So I think there may be something going on with the edge on this one. I definitely don't think it's factory, meaning it's been cut with. I did try my best to strop it a little bit while I was downstairs, and something felt a little off, and I can't remember what side it was that I was feeling that it was giving me a lot more feedback than a normal strop. So I did just cut a little bit more with it, try to take it back through the catalog paper a little bit more, and for whatever reason, like I said, this one just didn't cut very well, and I'm going to chalk that up potentially to it being cut with before I got this one. I don't think it's hitting the backspacer. It's the only other thing, not the backspacer, the frame. It's the only other thing that I could think of. Maybe like it's lightly tapping it potentially, and you just can't see down in there well enough to know if that's the case. I wouldn't think so, based off of how much of the blade is actually going in there. But I also don't know how thick. I don't see anything that looks like it's touching. So again, I'm not 100% sure why the factory edge was doing like it was, but not very good impression for me. Also, ergonomically, the edges here are really, really sharp, and I can feel that digging into my index finger for me because I'm trying to cram on here because it's barely a 4-finger grip. So you can see kind of here where it's digging into the finger, this side specifically, but I can also feel a little bit on this side. So I would like to see them chamfer these edges down. They're really, really sharp. I did try to choke up after I got off camera a little bit, and that's okay too. A little sharp right here on these corners trying to choke up, but there's a spot here for it. I'm kind of wondering why they just didn't go ahead and pull this back so that it's even with this side. I know it's even here, but I think you could have either pulled it back or just gone ahead and rounded it, and you probably wouldn't have really noticed. That choke up spot would have been comfortable. So that was my impressions for cutting with this one. A really cool piece, just needs a little bit of attention to some spots, and I think that would really improve it. I'd like to cut with it with a factory edge to see I've cut with Tuyas before and they've come very nice from the factory and they've performed very well on cutting. Just something a little off with this particular piece. Pocket clip worked well. It went in and out of the pocket nicely, retained nicely, and didn't really move around any. So I do like that. I was a little worried with the external relief cut, but they did put that ramp far enough forward that if you pull straight out of the pocket, it goes in and out of the pocket nicely. Let's go ahead and pull out some knives for a size comparison. All right, so first up we have the Mannix 2 lightweight for the full-size knife, and then for my medium-sized EDC, I did go ahead and bring out the Devo Fireball. And as you can see, I think it's more comparable to the Fireball, more of a medium-sized EDC. And this is kind of what I wanted to bring the Fireball out for. You see how well-rounded it is here? I don't feel any hot spots when I choke up with the Fireball to use that for a medium, lightweight EDC, something maybe you want to carry that's a little bit smaller on occasion. This could really benefit from that same type of contouring here, or like I said, chamfering around those edges so that you could choke up a little bit and get a little bit of a better grip on this particular piece. Let me bring out a couple more and then we'll grab the scale. All right, guys, I did bring out the Kunwu Padre for my full-size comparison this time, and I brought out the Devo Mini Growler just to give you, again, a little bit of variety to compare it to as far as the size is concerned. Let me move these two out of the way, and we'll go ahead, grab the scale, and check the weight on this one. All right, guys, got the scale out and on. Let's see how much this Tuya Strength Integral weighs. That's really impressive, and the reason I say that, it is a medium integral knife, so a full titanium integral handle versus a fuller size Kunwu Padre coming in at 5.3 ounces. So pretty impressive that you have that much more titanium, but again, coming in at, what was it, 4.5? Yeah, that's really, really impressive for the weight. So that's a good thing that they've got going for this particular model. Let me move the scale out of the way. We'll go ahead and wrap up with final thoughts and impressions. All right, final thoughts and impressions time, guys, on the Tuya Strength. The things that I do like about it, I do like the fact that they are doing a full-size integral to try to flex their machining prowess here. I do like the way that the hand-rubbed satin finish looks under the DLC coating here. What I didn't like about it was the fact that it came with a bad edge, so it is a pass around. I can't really judge it on that. What I will say is past Tuyas have come with good factory edges, have been very easy to strop in maintenance. Even coming through a pass around, I've been able to get those back to perform very nicely, so I do like that about them. Good lock bar access, good action. I realized what I was doing wrong. When I was disengaging the lock bar before, my finger was hitting the flipper tab, so I just needed to move it back a little bit, and I was able to get that to drop a lot easier. As you can see, I was like, why am I all of a sudden having a hard time with this one? The detent on this is tuned extremely well, nice fidget factor to it. Ergos, very uncomfortable behind the unchamfered edges here. They dig into the finger too much, just not enjoying that at all. The pocket clip, I didn't mention this earlier, it does ramp up, and it is a little bit of a hot spot for me with that pocket clip digging into me. Having said all that, the things that go into factor when I do grade these on a scale of 1 to 10, 10's the best, 1 is the worst. I take into account everything: ergos, performance, materials, price point, everything that is important to me when I look at a knife, aesthetics, all of that. Not a bad looking piece, very safe design is what I would call this. But overall on this one, I am probably going to go with a score of 5.8. A little low, but some of the things that would fix that for me is if you chamfer the edge for the ergos. If you would change your pocket clip to be more of a ramp versus a swoop. Did I say swoop? Of a swoop. I would really like that a lot. It would get rid of the hot spots that are on here for it. I'd love to see one that came with a factory edge and then testing it and seeing how it looked after I tested it versus getting it in a pass round. But I did give it a little bit of a pass here. For me, this was just more of the ergos. The comfort level is really low on me, and it is a tight 4-finger grip. As you can see, I'm kind of hanging off the back there. If they chamfered it, I think you could choke up and have some comfort around the edges and on the corners, and then you could get 5 fingers on here and it would be really good. I also want to point out that this is nearly a $500 knife, and while there's a lot of cool things about it, that is relatively high considering that you have those little nitpicks. And I don't really think of the ergos as a nitpick personally, but that those ergos to me need to be much better at that price point. That's not a cheap, that you're entering into Sabenza, Umanzan, Nkosi price point territory at that point. And McNeese is another one where I would probably say that you're entering into that territory with this. Granted, this is an integral, and I do understand that is different, but that's where I'm landing at with this one. Let me know what you think about the Tuya strength down in the comments below. Do you agree? Don't you disagree? If you don't have anything to say about this and this is not your style, just shout out and say hi to me. I love seeing your comments and interacting with you in the comments anyway. Special thanks to my channel members. I'm going to get out of here, guys. I hope you have a great week, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.